There is a day from my childhood that sticks out very clearly in my head. I was 8 years old, and it started out as a normal day. I went to school, and after school my mom took me to piano lessons. And it was during piano lessons that I started to get a funny feeling in my stomach. I wasn't sure what it was. After piano lessons, my mom took me to McDonald's, and when she asked me what I wanted to eat, I replied I didn't want anything to eat, which was very unusual because I liked food, and we as a family didn't get to eat out very often. So my mother was a little concerned. She took me home, and throughout the evening, I started to feel progressively worse. The funny feeling in my stomach started to turn into a stomach ache. I started to get abdominal cramps, and I just generally did not feel well. Throughout the night, I found myself in the kitchen, and all of a sudden this heat wave came over me, and I started to sweat profusely, and then very, very suddenly, I just vomited right in the kitchen sink. I had no idea what was going on. Thankfully, my parents knew what was happening, or they had a general idea, and they knew what to do to help get me through this unfortunate illness. By now, you might have a good idea of what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is called stomach flu in common terms. Now, stomach flu actually has nothing to do with influenza. Stomach flu's actual term is called gastroenteritis. And gastroenteritis is an intestinal infection. It causes inflammation in the gastrointestinal tract. And the symptoms, I'm sure as you know, are nausea, vomiting, diarrhea, abdominal cramps, and occasionally a low-grade fever. There are 3 types of gastroenteritis, those being viral, bacterial, and parasitic, with the most prominent being viral. Now, according to a CDC.gov report from 2015 entitled U.S. Trends and Outbreaks, there are approximately 19 to 21 million cases of gastroenteritis on average each year in the United States. The different viruses that cause viral gastroenteritis can be norovirus, rotavirus, astrovirus, and adenovirus, with norovirus and rotavirus being the majority of cases. Norovirus is by far the one that causes the most severe reactions in adults, and it is responsible for the major epidemic outbreaks in communities. Take, for example, when you are at work and someone gets stomach flu and then it seems to spread like wildfire. Everybody in the office gets stomach flu. The same is true for cruise ships and schools. Any place where there are close quarters, it seems to spread. It is very contagious, especially if it is norovirus. But it's also very common. And thankfully, if you are unlucky enough to catch it, if you are an otherwise healthy adult, you should be able to make it through without any major complications. Now, I would like to tell you that it has been suggested that in a 2015 medical journal article titled Consumer Education Needed on Prevention and Control, that it seems that many adults need an education in regards to how to prevent and control norovirus infection. There seems to be several misconceptions, and maybe they don't even know what norovirus is. The best way to prevent norovirus is by washing your hands thoroughly, and also knowing how norovirus is spread. It's spread via fecal to oral transmission, which is just as disgusting as it sounds. This means that if someone is infected and they wash their hands and they don't do it well enough, everything that they come in contact with is something that could be carrying the pathogens that could make you sick if you touch the same thing. This is why if it's not only a person-to-person transmission, but you can also catch the norovirus from food and drink that has been contaminated. So that's how you prevent it. That is the best option. But if you are unfortunate enough to come down with viral gastroenteritis, there are some treatments that you can do at home that will help alleviate some of your symptoms. And I learned this from several different sources, and they all seem to back each other up. And those seem to be the Mayo Clinic, the National Institute for Health, the Red Cross, and CDC. And the best thing that you can do for your body is to make sure that you are proactively hydrating. So this means that even though you feel sick, you need to be drinking plenty of fluids. And in a 2006 medical journal article titled Oral Rehydration for Viral Gastroenteritis in Adults, it seems like Pedialyte and Gatorade are suggested to be the best treatment options for dehydration caused by viral gastroenteritis. So that means drinking plenty of Pedialyte and plenty of Gatorade to try to help prevent becoming too dehydrated. And the reason why those are good options is because they have electrolytes. Other options, if you don't have anything else available, are clear liquids such as flat Sprite or ginger ale, or even chicken broth. But really the best option is Pedialyte. Now, after your last bout of vomiting, you can move on to bland foods, and the best thing to start out with is just plain unbuttered toast if you're hungry. It's bland. And another option is saltines, which I'm sure plenty of you are familiar with. If after that you are able to hold that down, you can start moving on to other bland foods. Something that is suggested is chicken noodle soup, because it is very bland and it has broth in it, and the noodles are bland as well as the chicken. And then after that, if you can keep that down, you can start moving progressively on to other bland foods such as apples, bananas, and even plain chicken. So I hope that this has helped you understand a little bit more about what stomach virus is, and hopefully in the future, if you ever find yourself coming down with stomach flu, you'll know how to treat yourself a little bit, and you'll know how to prevent it in the future. So, thank you.